Hey, what is up guys? So in this video we will be building this pyramid structure, totally dynamic. So basically we're gonna get an input from the user, and then depending on that input we're gonna build that many rows of this pyramid. So yeah, unlike the previous videos, this is a bit different. As you can see here, in the previous videos we had stars that were printed on straight line, but what happening is that in this pyramid you can see there's this inclination. So the reason of this being inclined is because we're adding spaces. Okay, normally what happens when we write print statements, things get printed in a straight line. Okay, but in this case what happening is that each row is getting printed with a different number of space, and then it goes on printing the stars. So just like the previous two videos, we can have one loop which would be responsible for counting the number of rows, and then there's going to be another row which would be responsible for printing the stars, and then there's going to be another loop which would be responsible for printing the spaces. So basically we'd have three loops, one big loop and then two minor loops inside of it. So the order would be a big loop responsible for the rows, and then that's going to be a loop for spaces, and then one for printing the stars. So first let's get the user input. Enter a number. Okay, let's get this cleared out. Okay, now let's start with our loop. For I in range, we're gonna run this user input times, and then we're gonna have the space j in range. Okay, so the number of spaces that we need totally depend. So for this one, it needs the highest number of spaces, and then this needs one less space. You can see this, so this extra space that this has on its left hand side, it's being occupied by this star in the second row, and then the third row has two stars, meaning it's gonna have two spaces less, and then the fourth row is gonna have three less spaces, and so on. So the way we find the range of this is, so let's say this is the largest one, so this is the highest row with the highest number of stars, and then let's say this is, so this is the midpoint, and yeah, so this many spaces are required for the first row. So if this is the midpoint, so this many spaces we need, so meaning we need, if 1 2 3 4 5 6 six row, we need 5 spaces. So if it's 7 row, we need 6 spaces, so for the first one, and then in the second one it gradually decreases by 1. So if this is 6 row, it's gonna have 5 spaces, this would have 4, it should have 3, this would have 2, this would have 1, and should have no space. So the range would be user input times minus 1. Okay, and then we're gonna want to print the spaces. Okay, and then let's concate them. All right, after they're concated, we can see this loop runs only user minus 1 times, so it constantly runs this many times. But what we want to do is that each time it's done printing the spaces for one row, for the next row we want it to print one less space. Okay, so basically we want it to run one less time for the next row. So let's reduce its range by 1. User input equal to user input minus 1. So basically each time this runs, this user input is going to get executed, and then the value of user input would be gradually decreasing, and then it's gonna get stored in this same user input, and then it's gonna get on executing. Okay, once we're done with this, now let's print something on the screen and let's see what's happening. Let's print a star, and now when we run, we can see this inclination. Okay, all right, since we're done with the space loop, now let's get with the asterisk one, the star one. So let's run for m in range. So yeah, so for the stars, you can see the number of stars that are printed are odd. It's 1, then in this case it's 3, 5, 7, 9, and 11. So, and then the stars gradually increase. So what we want to do is that we want to write a math equation, 2 into I plus 1. So what it's going to do is that when I is going to be 0, this loop going to run one time, and then if we print this, if we print a star, that means it's going to print only one star, and that's going to be this first row. And when I is 1, it's going to run 3 times, and then we're going to have this 3 star, and then 5 star, 7 star, and so on. But we also need to concate it, so end equal this. And then after we are done with concating, we're going to want to print these each row in a separate line. So we're going to have print, this is going to be the last code, and when we run, it says 6, we're going to have the structure that we need to build. Let's run it once again. Let's write something big. Let's say 45. Okay, so yeah, it's pretty big. Yeah, so yeah, that's basically it for this video. In the next video, we will build another really cool stuff. So if you guys like the video, please give it thumbs up, and if you're new to the channel, please subscribe. And yeah, thanks for watching.